India's minority communities, comprising over 200 million people, 14.2% Muslims, 2.3% Christians, 1.7% Sikhs, 0.7% Buddhists, and 0.4% Jains, form an integral part of the nation's cultural and economic fabric. They drive innovation in Bollywood, e.g., Muslim stars like Shah Rukh Khan, technology, Christian entrepreneurs in IT hubs, and agriculture, Sikh farmers contributing to food security. The Constitution's Articles 25 to 30 safeguard religious freedom, allowing minorities to run educational institutions and preserve languages. Government schemes, like the Prime Minister's Scholarship for Minorities benefiting 2 crore students annually, and affirmative action programs, have lifted socioeconomic status, with Muslim literacy rising from 59% in 2001 to 68% in 2021. Pew Research highlights high interfaith tolerance, with 89% of Indians valuing religious freedom, fostering a society where minorities like Jains lead in philanthropy and Buddhists in spiritual tourism. Yet, 2025 paints a concerning picture of escalating threats. The USCIRF's 2025 annual report notes deteriorating religious freedoms, with harassment and violence against minorities, particularly Muslims, on the rise. Over 700 hate crimes were reported in 2024, including mob lynchings, church demolitions, 1,200 since 2014, and attacks on Sikh Gurdwaras. Human Rights Watch's World Report 2025 details how 12 states' anti-conversion laws have been misused to harass minorities, leading to arbitrary arrests and forced conversions. The USCIRF recommends designating India as a country of particular concern. CPC for the 6th year, citing hate speech, property demolitions, and the role of vigilante groups in enforcing cow protection laws, which disproportionately target Muslims. Freedom House's partly free rating for India in 2025 underscores minority marginalization, with 78% of Sikhs viewing communal violence as a major issue. Critics, including USCIRF, also accuse the government of using hate speech and misinformation during elections to target minorities, exacerbating divisions. Despite these concerns, counterviews exist. Some groups, like Hindus for Human Rights, endorse USCIRF's findings, while others, such as the Hindu American Foundation, argue reports exaggerate issues and overlook India's judicial interventions, like Supreme Court stays on discriminatory laws. The government's welfare schemes, reaching minorities through programs like Pradhan Mantri, Awas Yojana, and declining communal riots, down 15% from 2023, suggest efforts toward inclusion, though activists call for stronger enforcement. As India balances its Hindutva narrative with constitutional secularism, the minority condition in 2025 remains a test of its democratic resilience. Let's compare the condition of minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh. First, let's take Pakistan. Minorities are facing persecution and symbolizes a systemic crisis. Across the border, Pakistan's 3.7% minority population, Hindus, Christians, and Ahmadis, faces a grim reality. Blasphemy laws under Section 295C, carrying death penalties, trigger over 1,000 cases yearly, often leading to mob lynchings and forced conversions. The National Commission for Minorities is toothless, and minorities are barred from high offices, leaving Hindus and Christians vulnerable to systemic violence, 200 attacks in 2024 alone. The state's complicity, as Amnesty International notes, emboldens extremists, with Ahmadis facing targeted persecution. India raised 334 cases of minority abuse with Pakistan in 2024, but change remains elusive. For Pakistan, the question is whether it can move beyond theocratic oppression to offer its 7 million minorities a chance at dignity. First, let's take Bangladesh. Bangladesh is facing an unrest and a fragile hope for minorities. In Bangladesh, 10.7% of the population, mostly Hindus, with Christians and Buddhists, grapples with a volatile landscape. The 2024 ouster of Sheikh Hasina sparked 3,582 attacks on minorities, with temples razed and 200 killed, as reported by India's Ministry of External Affairs. The Vested Property Act continues to enable Hindu land grabs, and weak enforcement undermines constitutional equality guarantees. While the interim government promises protection, HRW notes persistent violence, though slightly reduced in 2025. India raised 3,582 cases with Bangladesh, highlighting a double standard as Dhaka critiques India's record. Bangladesh's minorities cling to hope, but systemic reforms are urgently needed to curb ethnic targeting. What are the tale of three nations? India's minorities, despite facing hate crimes, enjoy constitutional protections and judicial recourse unmatched in the region. Pakistan's systemic persecution, driven by state-backed laws, leaves minorities with little hope. Bangladesh, caught in political flux, struggles to protect its Hindus amid ongoing land disputes. Pew Research shows 89% of Indians value religious freedom, yet 78% of Sikhs see communal violence as a major issue, a duality absent in Pakistan and Bangladesh, where state mechanisms often fail minorities. The USCIRF's Country of Particular Concern tag for Pakistan and warnings for Bangladesh contrast with India's partly free status, underscoring India's relative strength in offering legal avenues for redress. What could be the path forward? As India strides toward global economic dominance, its ability to protect its 200 million minorities will define its moral compass. Pakistan and Bangladesh must confront their systemic failures, repealing oppressive laws and enforcing equality to give their minorities a future. South Asia's story is one of potential, but only through collective action can these nations ensure that every citizen, regardless of faith, thrives. India's judiciary, Pakistan's reforms, and Bangladesh's stabilization efforts hold the key to a region where diversity is a strength, not a spark for conflict.